There were a lot of vacant storefronts. There was all of the flowers and the decorating and the little park that you part of your segment was over at that little, none of that existed.
Wow. So, now there's a beautification committee. Did that have anything to do with what I was seeing?
Yes, that was very integral to that.
You know what's funny? I thought the beautification committee, so I heard the name a couple times and I was like, it just sounds like something that's like 100 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
it's a strange little title, but the village had a beautification committee, and it was two people. Hi, John. Who in the spring planted, put some flowers in planters. That was it.
Great.
So I got different people on that committee who had a knack for this sort of thing, and it just took off. And because they had ideas, they did fundraising, and so that was a little bit of a conflict with the village having fundraising going on and trying to keep the separation. So they went and asked the chamber if the chamber would become their umbrella agency rather than the village government. So, and the chamber did do that. So now they were free to raise money and...
Well, that was smart.
Yeah, and the generosity. I mean, they raised thousands of dollars.
Wow. See? But it's not like Cuba. That's just the way it is here. Like,
Right.
It's a different mindset here.
Yeah, well, this is a very generous community.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Lionel and Terry about what they've done here, and that it's just like these layers and these levels, and that's what's kind of happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And you coming in when you did, like, when I first came to town, my first thought, because some of the towns I lived in Northern California, it was the political structure of that town that was igniting, because you have to have that. You have to have somebody that helps in, the governmental body of the town.
Right.
Because you can get completely lost in that if you don't have the support. And so obviously you were supportive of all this, and you stewarded this town through this time period. And that's why I wanted to ask that question, because it was like the first inkling in my brain was that there's got to be some awesome people involved here politically, because it's not going to happen without that.
Right.
And so it is, and you must be proud of what's happened here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the first grant that we secured, that the village secured, was over $500,000, and Terry and Lionel took advantage of that. And that's how they were, of course, they invested heavily, but they got $300,000 out of that grant for their buildings on East Main Street.
Right. Yeah, they told me the story where there's so somebody had come to look at the building on the corner there. I forget what's in there, and he's taking it in because they were interested in purchasing it. And then he was like, "Well, why?" He was like, "I don't know what to do." And there's like, "Wait a second." Lionel said to Terry, "There's money left over for this building." So that's how they got involved in that building, right? Because somebody wanted to, whoever's in there now wanted to purchase it. And,
that was the O'Malley building.
Yeah.
Yes.
The tree was in that building, correct? Is that the right one? He said there was a tree growing in the middle of the building.
Oh, that's the Empire Block.
Oh.
Yeah, it was coming right out of the roof.
That's crazy. But that's the nature of, like, you get these entrepreneurs now in town that it's the whole town's different.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Because now you have established something here that wasn't here 6 years ago.
Right, it wasn't.
And so the Palmer's playing a very important role in that.
The Palmer and the flagpole were the catalyst.
Dude, Mike told me the story of the flagpole. It was so funny because he was like, I don't know how to get people to believe in this town. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get this whole thing started.
Right.
And he came up with the idea with the flagpole. And then Tom was telling me that they put the balloon up. Yeah. And Mike called Tom. He's like, step outside your house and come take a look at the balloon. Yeah. So, and you're right. I mean, that's much of the same thing. It was like that flagpole just kind of is a catalyst for all of it.
Well, it's another one of those instances where they reached out to the community for fundraising. Right. And the community was very generous. Right. The Veterans Memorial over in the park, community fundraising.
Wow.
We paid for most of the the park, the St. James Place Park,
Okay.
most of that was paid out of a grant.
Really?
But all of the furniture and the fountains and the landscaping fundraising,
that came all
that
from
came from donations. Yeah.
See, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Like, not many towns would do that.
Right.
And so that public groundswell support is really what's, I say I didn't know this. You're the first person that's told me this. I thought that was all grant money or
We got
state money.
15,000 out of grant money for that. But
Gosh,
that paid for getting the land ready and
Right.
and the concrete, pretty
Right.
much, you know.
So, yes, that's the town then,
Yeah.
right? It's just that type of community. So that tells me that this town, the heart of this town believes in itself and never stopped believing in itself.
Right, right.
Which it makes all the difference because if you stop believing in yourself, then you're gonna have problems. Because people are like, I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it because
No.
we've been whatever we've been burned before. Or
I
it's not
gave
gonna
you
work.
20 bucks. That's, I'm done.
Yeah, but that's what's the public saying. No, we want this for our town. But we believe in this town
Right.
enough to, because that's when people believe in things and they start spending their money on that, then there's belief there. It's all talk otherwise.
Right,
Right. So the Palmer's impact has been fantastic, right?
Yes.
It has been a
Yes.
catalyst for change culturally, societally, economically, and you stewarded this period. So between when you started and now, what's the difference? What are you seeing?
It's a busy village. People seem optimistic. When we have events like the Dairy Days or the Garlic Festival, thousands of people are here. And it's the townspeople, but it's also people that come from everywhere, all around. And it used to be the cheese shop drew people, hundreds of people a day. They'd come in on buses, and go to the cheese shop and then leave town.
Right.
But now people come for the Palmer, they come for the festivals, they come for the restaurants to walk around the village. You go into the Copper Keg, you're not likely to know everyone there like you used to.
And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That's a really cool vantage point that you're sitting in, because you can now go into these places and where 10 years ago it would have been a couple regulars.
Right.
And now you don't know who's in there.
Right.
Because people are drawn to Cuba now, and
Yeah.
Cuba's, what I told Michele, Cuba is like the more authentic version of Ellicottville. Right?
Yes, well, yeah, we look at Ellicottville and use that as kind of a model because it is such a quaint little downtown area, and that's been an inspiration. Ellicottville is a really cool little town.
Yeah, it's awesome, But to a degree, from when I was a kid, it's been Main Street Disneyfied. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's a commodity now, and they know that. Just like East Aurora, we had our business
Right.
in East Aurora, and it's like that's East Aurora.
Yeah.
East Aurora is a brand now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Cuba, but what you guys have here with the lake changes everything, right?
Yeah.
Because you have this beautiful, beautiful lake. You have this beautiful, perfect sized town with everything that you need within walking distance. I mean, even having a hospital within walking distance to me just is so big. It's so important.
Well, some people come just because of the architecture.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, when you sit on it, when I was doing the filming for the episode, and that's one thing I didn't incorporate in that I'll definitely incorporate in this. I did not do that Main Street justice, and it just didn't work out that way. But it's so beautiful and it's so perfect, and to have that architecture still intact and in place.
Right.
How many towns can boast that? Because generally you'll get one here, 3 have been knocked down, one here and it's in bad shape. And you guys have this beautiful,
Well, it's all protected too. It's the historic district, like even the homes on South Street. If a homeowner wanted to do something to that property, they'd have to get permission.
Now, so was that the first, because that's the first step in really trying to preserve any of this, right? Is to make sure that they're.
I don't know when that
Right.
came into, but it's been at least 30 years.
Wow.
It's probably more, but
And it's huge though, because now you have this gorgeous Main Street with these gorgeous side streets and gorgeous buildings here. And you're right about that. For me, when I go to a town, it's the first thing, it's the architecture. Because it defines the town, it gives it its character. Right?
Right.
That's what you feel. That you physically feel that. It's a psychosomatic response to what I'm looking at. If I'm looking at some dilapidated buildings and a couple that are nice, it's going to change. But if I walk into a town like this and it's the bones are all here and you guys have done all these beautiful improvements to honor what it was, you didn't try to change it. You just honored what it was and you beautified it and paid respect to that. It just accentuates it. And that's what's kind of happened here, right?
Yes.
It's just this, and the Palmer's a quintessential example of that.
Right.
Instead of, modernizing, it was the idea.
It was restored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge difference, right? And now it's become a community center.
Yes.
And it's just this beautiful place for the community to come, and you're getting a variety of people. You're getting the people that come for the shows, and people that come for the trivia, and people that come for tonight. And you won't get that in some theaters. Like Gowanda, I did the Gowanda series, and Gowanda's theater is beautiful, and those people put 25 years of their life into that theater. But then I feel bad for them because they're stuck. They can't hold events there like this.
Oh.
Because they have all the seats, and it's what it is. So they can't get
Oh, they
utilized
can't,
on a daily basis.
They're limited.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of the ball. Is that now smack dab in the heart of Main Street, you got this community center. Right.
They have weddings here. They're beautiful.
You could put a roller skating party out there. I mean, you could do almost anything.
Yeah, right.
You have this beautiful with beautiful high ceilings.
Right.
And that's the Palmer's. The sea change with this is that it's a community center, not just an opera house.
Right.
That's what they used to call them, to give them, I think, a bit of cachet.
That's the word. Yeah.
Meanwhile, these vaudevillians running through here, back in the day, but these were community centers and they were hearts of the town, and the Palmer put the heart back into the town.
With heart.
Yes, that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
So now, where do you see Cuba and the Palmer going?
Well, I hope forward. I hope that it continues to grow. I would like to see Cuba get like a small kind of boutique hotel.
Perfect.
Because when people come to stay, there's limited places to stay.
Right.
When people come to visit, we'd like them to stay.
Right.
I'd like to see some more housing.
Yes.
Maybe like senior accessible kind of housing. I'm not talking about assisted living necessarily, but we have a lot of senior citizens that have lived here, like myself, all our lives, and who all own homes that we can't take care of them after a certain point or don't want to, So
and you want to stay?
We want to stay. So I'd like to see something like that.
Well, maybe that's your next.
No,
I'm not fighting any more fights.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor, right? That's where you're going with it.
But the Palmer would be integral to making all that happen because it does bring people, and then developers or investors might see that as an opportunity to invest here.
And I think you're right. I think that's what it is. I think it's at that point.
Yeah, I don't want to citify the place. I like its rural quiet. It's very serene here, and that's what brought me back, is the serenity, the quiet, the lack of stress to go to the post office or to the bank or whatever. It's easy, you walk. But we do need a better tax base.
Right. Yeah, because without that, all this infrastructure is going to sit stagnantly because obviously we're going to have inflation, you're going to have all of this, and you can't sit there.
Yeah, we need jobs, we need good jobs, and we need everybody needs lower taxes.
Exactly. Well, I think where you're going with the town is just a perfect place because it's culture and community and tourism, and with those three things you can do everything you need to do for this town, and it's already on its way.
It is on its way.
It's just a matter of just somebody taking up the gauntlet that you laid down and Mike's laid down and everybody's like, just keep that moving. And Lionel and Terry are like the new generation of entrepreneurs that you need, and the other people that have come into the town, and you've got the new brewery going in across the street, right? And we just talked to the people from Light of the Moon. There's like this whole thing that's percolating here. It's beautiful.
It is percolating.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's got to make you feel good because you saw this town when you were a kid. It must have been awesome.
It was, yes. There were probably 30 stores right here on this little East and West Main Street. Within 2 blocks. There were probably 30 stores, restaurants, lots of bars.
It's supposed to be
but
American.
variety stores,
Everything you need.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
a bank, a jeweler, a shoe store. I mean, it had such a variety of stores that we don't have that variety now. We kind of have gift shops, antiques kinds of things.
Right.
But there are new ideas coming in. So
Well, Lionel and I were talking about that because it's the pragmatism that of the daily usage that really will make the town. And that's the only complaint I have about East Aurora and Ellicottville is that it took what was once the meat market, a clothes store, the things that I need where I can park my car like that. I lived in Sonoma, California. I lived in Marin County. I lived in these places that are like that. Now, granted, people had a lot of money out there, so they could do that. But to live like that it changed my whole world. I would come home and I'd ride my bike or I'd walk. And I could go to the market, I could go to the cheese shop, I could go get a pair of pants and a shirt, everything I needed. And I think that's maybe the next level.
Right.
Where, you could do that because then you really have a community, not just a tourist stop.
And that's the way Cuba was when I was a kid. Then what happened was a mall came to Olean.
Oh, is it the...
And at the same time, families were becoming 2-car families instead of just the one. And so there was... transportation was more viable or accessible to families, and the mall had everything. So it was new and sparkly and had big stores. So that was the beginning of the end for the little shops here in town.
Isn't that odd though that people instead of walking down the street would rather get in their car and drive? And that's our cultural mindset for a long time. And I think that's starting to change. People are seeing the value now.
Right.
In wait a second, I can go to Joe on the corner, right? I can go to Mary and I can get a dress, I can get a shirt, and I know those people.
Right.
And I care about those people,
Right.
and they're part of my community. I think we've all, we were huckstered. We were in this country, but the car and the mall and the shiny new thing.
Right.
And it was always the shiny thing on the ground. Well, let's go pick that
yeah.
up. And then before we knew it, it was Hansel and Gretel. We were breadcrumbed
Right.
from our life.
Right.
Then I think we're now starting to see the value of community.
Right.
So.
Well, what I have noticed also is that the 30-somethings who graduated from here are coming back.
Right.
They've been to Buffalo or Rochester or, out of the state someplace, but they're moving back and they're bringing their friends with them. And then other friends come to visit and they, wow, this is kind of a cool town. I like this place. So the population is changing a little bit slowly, but it is changing.
Well, you are fortunate to have Lionel and Terry leading the charge on that.
Yeah.
Because they were just Lionel's whole thing was, I loved it and I wanted it, so I made it.
Yeah.
But it's not that was a rare, unwanted thing. What they're doing is what is needed. And it's what you want. I want to go get a good meal. I want to go be able to work out. I want to go do my business in this little business facility. I want to go to buy clothes. I want to do these things, and I don't want to get in my car.
Right.
Right. I just want it in my place. Be in my place.
Yeah. Well, with the advent also, one of what I think is a positive, but we'll see how it goes, from the pandemic is that everyone started doing their shopping online. So everybody stays home now and UPS delivers their pants.
That's true, right. And Lionel was talking about work at home too.
Yes.
And having all of that. And if you can have a town that's this beautiful balance of the right shops with that, and you've got, and you do have that, and you will have that, and it's all happening here.
Right.
And the Palmer was like that thing. It was like that stake in the ground.
It was.
That said, we're not going anywhere.
It was.
Right?
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yep.
That's what it was like.
Yeah, this is like the cornerstone of...
Yeah, it was like, the movie Family Vacation.
Yeah.
When he gets pissed off at his family, and he's like, we're going in, and he's like yelling at him.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Cuba was for Cuba, the Palmer was for Cuba.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to Wally World, whether you want it or not. And then before you know it, everybody's like, yeah, we're going to Wally World, because it's just that mindset of saying, we can do this.
Yep.
And then everybody starts saying, yeah, wait a second, we can do this. And you already had the mindset of the town, which I didn't know, that were very generous people.
Yes.
So they believed in the town. It just took that push, and you guys made that push, and that's why I'm so happy that you came on this, because it's important to have you on, because again, you stewarded this, man.
Well,
Well, you and other people, but
Yeah,
if you were,
yeah.
the mayor's the mayor, whether you want it or not. I mean, that's your responsibility.
think-
and your-
I did see a change in attitude when I started being the mayor.
yeah.
People, if I asked for help, if I approached you or someone and asked, could you do this thing, I would get a yes.
See.
And that was different. Right there, that was different, to get a yes. And then they would embrace it. They wouldn't say, sure, I'll show up.
And or either it was all just show up and not do much, or they got
it
involved.
was, sure, I can do that, and I'll get so-and-so and so-and-so, and we will do this more. So there was definitely a resurgence in volunteerism and enthusiasm.